Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Calling All Devs, our weekly Q&A series where I take questions from you, the Star Citizen backer, and pose them directly to our developers over Skype. It's the highest production value show we have in our docket of Star Citizen shows. I know you're here just to see all the production value, so we are going to get things started this week by going back to Austin and Rob Reininger, our lead technical designer out in Austin. Hey Rob, how you doing, man?
Oh, hey, what's going on, man?
Good. Is it lead technical designer?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Honestly, 400 and some odd people, almost 500 people. It's a miracle I get any of them right. All right, I got two questions for you this week, man.
Hold on.
We're going to go with that rapid fire here. First one, will we be able to climb cliffs or use thrusters when on foot?
Not that I'm aware of. We got a lot of features planned that need to get done before that. We might get to that someday, but it's not in the scope of what we're currently working on. So, we got a lot of game to make and hopefully years and years to keep stuff going. So maybe someday, but not at the moment.
Fair enough. Our next question from the backers, cargo purchase pricing mechanics. Cargo purchase pricing mechanics are unintuitive and feel a lot like gambling. Are there any plans to make quote-unquote real-time commodity buy-sell price tracking boards available via the Mobiglass so we can make a more informed and profitable purchase?
Yeah, absolutely. If you recall, planning your trade routes is something that we've talked about for a long time, right? So what we ultimately want to get to is, I personally want to tie it into the star map so you can kind of plan your hops, but also click on a planet, dive down into it, be able to see the economic status of the commodities or things that are for trade on that planet directly from the star map. So you can kind of go, okay, I'm going to go here, get that, go there, get that, and so on down the line. So you can plan a significant amount of gameplay just by looking at the star map. So yeah, that's something I'm really interested in getting in soon, but it's probably going to be a bit before we get to that. We've got a lot of foundational work to lay, but yes, star map is probably where I would look to see that, although it's not confirmed quite yet where that's going to go, but it's absolutely in the plans.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Rob. I'll let you get back to work.
Yeah, no worries. All right, thanks, man.
All right, take it easy, man.
Take it easy.
Bye. All right, moving right along from Rob Johnson, we are going back overseas to Foundry 42 UK and John CREWE, lead technical designer out of, what did I just say, Foundry 42 UK. Hey, John, how you doing, man?
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I am attempting to see the fastest Calling All Devs I've ever done, so we're going to see this. I got a question for you. I'm pretty sure I know the answer already, but we'll see what you say. This question, voted on by the backers, submitted by the backers. I really prefer the 2D radar for many things. Will we have the option to switch radar display types?
No. So if your ship has a 2D radar, it has a 2D radar. If your ship has a 3D radar, it has a 3D radar. However, in the future, what we're going to be doing is using render to texture to essentially project and record the 3D radar style and display it on a 2D image. So rather than having to maintain two completely different radar systems, it's one just rendered in two different ways. So it'll be flat or 3D.
Gotcha. All right. Well, cool.
Cool.
That's it. What I needed.
All right then.
I'll let you go.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, thank you so much to John CREWE. We are now moving just a couple rows down the office to Jens Lind in Foundry 42 UK. Jens, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, yeah, doing pretty good. End of day here, so it's a bit quieter, but lots of work to get on with.
Yes, well, I'll try not to take too much of your time. We're trying to do the fastest, most abbreviated Calling All Devs we can today. It's just an experiment. I want to see how fast I can do it because everybody says I talk too much and I waste too much time. And that's totally not what I just did right now. Okay, your question submitted by the backers, voted on by the backers this week. When will we be able to EVA between fast-moving ships that are flying at or about the same speed and direction? Can we catch a pilotless runaway ship?
So the boring part first is obviously this is not something we got planned for the immediate future, but it's not something that's going to be impossible either. I mean, from my point of view, I think there's a lot of things that would need to be done to EVA to make this a fun feature. And usually start with a reason. Like you would need a reason to catch a pilotless ship.
Mhm.
Once we have a reason to pursue like this feature, then we could jump on it. But there's things like, I think you should be able to attach to the surface of a ship, so you could sort of hold on to it somehow, whether that's like a physical attachment or you have got some kind of tractor beam you can grab onto it with, or if you can sort of get into the ship's influence in some way, so that your relative speed in EVA is always moving with that body you're trying to catch up to. Because I think otherwise, small adjustments that ship makes and the power a ship has compared to your little EVA thrusters will always make it very, very difficult to catch up to anyone else. Well, what else? Then, I mean, there's always technical concerns. Would be things like, how well will the animation-driven ragdoll hold up when you're traveling at such insane speed inside the world grid? Because while you're inside the ship, there's no problem, because your relative speed to the physics grid is essentially zero, right? Even though the grid is traveling full pelt. So that would be a technical concern. Another thing is currently the EVA thrusters are like safe. So they say this is how fast you're allowed to go. This is the maximum rate of acceleration you're allowed to achieve. So the moment you leave the ship, they would start to decelerate you to the safe operating speeds. So these are all considerations we would have to get on. But like I said, I don't feel this is something that would be impossible. I always remember the Gamescom floor demo when the guys jumped out of a ship and then had someone free fall and then tried to catch him with the ship again, which is really, really, really cool. Which makes me think of this feature.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching, by the way.
It was my favorite bit of Gamescom. I always had it on while working. It was really good. It really helps sort of build morale, seeing people have fun with the FPS gameplay. Sandboxing it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks so much. What are you working on right now? You got any secrets you can spill?
No, it's all 3.1 bugs, to be honest. It's nothing spectacular. Trying to sort of get some of the niceties in, as well as fixing a lot of the serious crashes and things that are stopping us from releasing. So yeah, there's a lot of that.
That's right. You got like 2 weeks.
Right, yeah, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how little time that is.
I've been here long enough. I'm not surprised anymore. All right, Jens, I'll let you get back to work. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Yeah, take care. See you later.
Okay, and last but not least on today's show, we're coming right back here to the Los Angeles studio and our own Kirk Tomei, lead designer here. Oh, hey, Kirk, how you doing, man?
Hey, Jared, how's it going? Good.
Good. I got a question for you. This is kind of a biggie. Thank you for taking the call. Question submitted by the backers, voted on the backers. In the past, there has been discussion of different types of electronic warfare in Star Citizen. The examples they give are targeting computer and communications jamming, hacking, etc., like with the Vanguard Harbinger. What types of E-war are still planned for Star Citizen besides EMP?
So all of those features are still planned. Unfortunately, they're not in the super near term planning trajectory, but we do still plan to have fun gameplay related to hacking. So like you'd like to hack into the avionics of ships, being able to do things like override the ship computers. So you can open the doors and breach it without doing physical harm or physical damage to the ships. Being able to like maybe take over the flight computer, so maybe be able to control it remotely. Also, we want to do things like have security against that, so you can be really good at being unhackable. And of course the inverse is you could be a really good hacker, and so you could develop that skill. We'd also want to do things like being able to jam signals, so we could prevent communications from occurring. We could maybe do things where when you have coordinated attacks, we could disrupt that communication or the communication between the ship computers, so that you can have some defense against really good coordinated attacks. Prevent just general communications from going on between ships or between stations. So you could just maybe become a little bit more stealthy when you're trying to attack one. And then we want to realize the feature that we created, the Herald 4, which was the physical transference of data. It's like, what's the point of transferring data physically when it's so much more convenient to do it in over space, unless there's a reason for that. So if physical transference of data is something that is ultra secure and has features in it like it could scramble the data in case you get in trouble, or just eject it and destroy it, so that it is super secure and requires a human host to actually ensure the delivery of that, kind of like one of our delivery services here on Earth, and so that person becomes the protectorate of that information. That would be some game plan that we'd want to implement, so that you can utilize those features in ships you already have.
Gotcha. One more question, if you got a moment.
Sure.
I've been following these chain of emails about EMP, and I know you're central in that.
Yes.
What can you tell us about work on the recent revamp, rebalancing, whatever we want to call it for EMP, retuning?
Sure. So we've noted that the community has raised some issues with EMP, and they're very valid issues. So the reason that EMP was such a problem when we released 3.0 is that when we converted the items to 2.0, EMP relies on a type of damage that we're calling distortion for now, but distortion damage wasn't properly set up on ship items. So we were doing like the Warlock and the Raven. We're doing about 500,000 units of distortion damage on ships, because we hadn't transferred the proper distortion damage pool onto items like the power plants, shield generators, and the new controls we have for doing things like flight control and power control and whatnot. Those were set at default tiny levels, like I think 500. Yeah, so you're doing these massive amounts of damage to ships that just were simply unable to cope with the previous values that we had before. So we did several things. One, we generally tuned both the Warlock and the Raven's EMP behavior so that it takes quite a bit more time to charge them, and it requires more energy to do that. So in order to prep the EMP to fire, you need to you're basically sacrificing some shield performance, as it'll drain enough power to reduce your shields, and it will also disable your weapons for the most part. You can still do a little bit of energy triangle balancing to maybe get some of those systems online, but for the most part, you kind of have to really commit to discharging the EMP. So there's some more preparatory, like a preparatory staging you need to do to become an EMP bomb. And we've also, so we balanced the EMP blast itself. We tuned the radius for that. So for the smaller ships, so you can pretty much get them at a pretty good range. But you really have to get in close for ships that have larger size items in there, because those items can absorb more distortion damage. And finally, the other thing we did was we really toned down the time it takes, or the cooldown time between blasts. So the cycle of being able to cripple a ship by performing EMP blast, and then having the time to restart the EMP cycle and shoot it again before the ship that you crippled is able to get out of the crippled state was tuned. So I think for the most part we settled on about 3 minutes between the entry bus. So really, it's much more of a it's much less of an OP ship item, and now you really have to commit to doing it. Once you get it, you do get the reward of being able to just wail on them if you want, but at least it's more fair in that if you don't get a perfect shot, the ship that you're targeting at least has some chance of recovering, and then because your shields and weapons are down, either the ship that you haven't fully crippled or any of its comrades can come and take you out because you've kind of sacrificed safety in order to blast the ship that you're targeting.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's what we wanted to hear.
Cool.
All right. Of course, that's what we're gonna. Is that going in 3.1 or?
Yes, it's actually in our build that we're having the testing public work on at the moment. So they should anybody that's able to participate in our playtest should be able to see all these changes.
And I'm sure they'll let us know what their feedback is on Spectrum.
I'm sure they will.
All right, man. I'll let you get back to work. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
All right, take care. All right, well, so much for the shortest, quickest, most abbreviated episode of Calling All Devs ever. Remember, you can submit your questions for consideration each and every week up on the thread, up on Spectrum, and don't forget to vote. That's the two-pronged system. You submit your questions, you vote on which questions you want to see addressed each and every week. For Calling All Devs, I'm Content Manager for Global Video Production, Jared Huckabee. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Thanks for watching. For the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42, you can subscribe to our channel, or you can check out some of the other shows, and you can also head to our website at www.robertsspaceindustries.com. Thank you very much for watching.